Alright, welcome over to LC Middle School 7th graders. We have one more lesson here with our adding, subtracting fractions and mixed numbers chapter today. And we are going to work with subtracting mixed numbers as our main focus. Now, just like yesterday with the adding of mixed numbers, we're going to focus on the fractional parts first. And these do have the same denominators, so 5 6 minus 1 6 gives us 4 sixths. Then you can subtract the whole numbers and get you 5 and 4 sixths. But be aware, sometimes that fraction still has to go lowest term, so 5 and 4 sixths does go down to 5 and 2/3. Number 2, 17 11 twelfths minus 2 and 5 twelfths. Well, 11 minus 5 gives me 6 of the twelfths, because I was able to subtract those right away because they had the same denominator. And that leaves me a 17 minus 2 gives me 15. Now 6 twelfths, be careful, that can still go down to lowest terms, takes me down to 15 and 1/2. All right, number 3, we come across a situation where there is no whole number, or no fraction here to take away 1/3, so that can't work, so I create one. This has a denominator of thirds, so I want to keep it as thirds so I can subtract it right away. So what I do is I borrow, just like you always have in subtraction. You borrow from 22, take it down 1, and you get down to 21. Now I took 1 away, and I kept that 3 as a denominator, and I filled it all the way up. So 3/3, which is the same as 1. So 22 is really 21 plus this extra 1 here. 3/3 is full. So now I was able to create that fraction to take away 1/3. So 3/3 minus 1/3 is 2/3, and 21 minus 4 is 17. All right, now here's a situation that actually plays out pretty well for us. 16 and 9/10 minus 5. Well, if I have 9/10 minus no fraction, that's just 9/10. And 16 minus 5 is 11, and I'm all done with that one. Now, number 5, we get a little extra work here. We have 5 and 1/6 minus 2 1/3. So I got different denominators right away, so I got to figure that whole chunk out. Well, by the time I get to that point, it's 5 and 1/6 minus 2 2/6. But 1/6 minus 2/6 isn't going to work. So what I'm going to do is kind of like on number 3, I'm going to borrow. Take 1 away from that 5 and make it a 4. Now the one I took away, I made it 6/6 because that's a full amount. So that's really one number. Then I have to add it to that fraction that was too little. So now this little extra fraction here is now going to become kind of a weird looking mixed number. It's going to be a whole number with an improper fraction, but it's just for temporary use. So I get 4 and 7/6. Then I can take away 2 and 2/6 because the fractions will subtract now. 7/6 minus 2/6 gives me 5/6. 4 minus 2 gives me 2. Now there is an alternate way that you could do this problem. When you get to the point where you realize that, hey, 1/6 minus 2/6 isn't going to work, you could make them both improper fractions. So 5 and 1/6 became 31/6, and 2 and 2/6 became 14/6. Then you can go ahead and subtract them, and then it leaves you with an improper answer, which you got to convert back to a mixed number then. So if you like doing that way, you can, but you got to make sure you get common denominators together first. All right, one more like that. Number 6, I got 9 1/2 minus 7 and 8/9. And once I get the common denominators with the 18 and get the numerator adjusted, I get 9 and 9/18 minus 7 and 16/18. So once again, I'm going to have to borrow from that 9 and drop it down to an 8. The one that I took away becomes 18/18. I filled it all the way up. And then now what I'm going to do is add it to that 9/18. That way it's going to be a weird-looking mixed number with an improper fraction in it, but it's just for temporary use. So that becomes really 8 and 27/18 minus 7 and 16/18. Now the fractions are able to subtract, and 27 minus 16 gave me 11/18 as my fraction. 8 minus 7 left me with 1. And once again, you could have done the improper fraction way also, but whatever way you like to go with. All right, so here's a couple for you to try. You got 14 and 1/5 minus 9 and 4/5 for number 1, and 8 and 1/3 minus 2 and 4/7 for number 2. And you want to pause it and then give your answers a shot in just a minute. All right, number 1, you had the fractions were not able to subtract, so we had to borrow, drop that down to a 13, and the number I created was 5/5, filled up the 5s, and so it temporarily, when I add those two together there, gives me 13 and 16 fifths, or 13 and 6/5, I should say. Then I'm able to actually subtract 9 and 4/5 out of there, and I get 4 and 2/5 for my final answer. And then a similar scenario happens here in number 2. I have 8 1/3 minus 2 4/7. Well, I'll have to get the denominators to match up first here. So I get 8 and 7/21 minus 2 and 12/21. And that's not going to subtract for me. So I borrow from the 8, drop it down to a 7. And since I'm already in with 21 for a denominator, I take a 21 and fill it all the way up. So that's the 1 that I just took away right there. And then I can add it to the fraction that was too little. So now I got 7 and 28/21. Now it's able to take away 2 and 12/21, which gives me 5 and 16/21. So I hope this is helpful to you. It's a lot of work here on some of the subtraction problems, but you've been given all the skills you need to be successful with that. So good luck.